Hello everyone. My name is Sonia Fernandez. I am a student of MA Wellness Counselling from Nirmala Institute of Education, Altinho, Panaji. This course has been a very beautiful, enriching experience for me. I have learned a lot from this course. It has helped me to discover my strengths. It has helped me to love and accept myself the way I am completely. It has helped me to explore myself, to be aware, to be mindful, to be grateful, which I was never aware of before. Overall, it's been a very beautiful and wonderful journey and almost been a year. The campus is very beautiful. The classrooms are bright and spacious, and there's a lot of greenery and plants everywhere. The facilitators are kind and caring and teach us in a very good way. Overall, this course helps us to be kind and compassionate with ourselves first, and then reach out to the world and be kind, compassionate, non-judgmental to others. It has been a very exciting learning experience, and I hope it will be the same for the months to come. Thank you very much.
Hi everyone, I'm Fabina Denise, currently doing my first year Masters in Wellness Counseling. I'm here to tell you about my experience regarding this course. I had got to know about this course from one of my friend, and I found this very interesting because of as it is based on positive psychology. So honestly speaking, when I joined this course, I found this course little heavier. I thought I will not be able to manage with it. Though I had a psychology background, some things I knew and some things were new to me. But trust me, as time went on, now I have more knowledge. I was just liking this field of counseling and the psychology, but now I'm loving it because this course is designed in such a way that everything is taught to you just from the basic. So even if you don't have a psychology background, you don't have to worry about it all. Apart from that, when I joined this course, I had come with an intention, like, I want to focus on the mental health of other people so that I can help them to resolve their issues, to guide them, to manage their lives. For myself. So, after joining this course, I have discovered many things about me that I wasn't aware of. Like my strengths, my weaknesses, how I respond, how I react, and what are the causes of it. So that's what I have realized and gained awareness after joining this course. Just to give example of how this course has motivated me. Okay, so after 2 months I will be doing an internship. So I'm a person, public speaking is something that I had fear of. I'm saying I had because now I don't have, I feel, because I'm very excited to go and do my internship, which I thought I will never be able to, because this course has provided me or given me so much of knowledge now that I feel like I can go and give it to others, that I can teach to others, contribute to others, and use it to help others. So that's how my experience was. And that's how this course has helped me, and I'm very excited to even learn more about it. Yeah, that's it.
Friends, I'm Maria Lina, doing my MA Wellness Counseling in Nirmala Institute of Education. This course is a unique one. It really has helped me to learn for myself many things. And this wellness counseling is working with one's strengths and to go deeper into oneself, bringing out the best which is in each individual. It also has helped me a lot to understand the way I should deal with others, to work different areas of my own life, and mostly focusing on the optimistic part of what I am and my uniqueness. So also, as we learn through this course, it has helped me when I'm with the clients to understand the way and to make them realize the potentials that each individual holds. So I feel I have gained a lot from this course, and I really don't regret in entering this course, which has made me more knowledgeable not in sense of acquiring some knowledge from out, but more knowledgeable of my own self. And I'm proud today, and I'm proud to complete this course in this Nirmala Institute of Education. And I'm sure many will be drawn to it. Yes, there are difficulties, but it also has helped me to work through those difficulties.
Hi, my name is Karen George, and I am currently pursuing my master's in Wellness Counseling at Nirmala Institute of Education. So I would like to say that my experience at Nirmala Institute and the Wellness Counseling program has been really, really good. It has always focused on growing my strengths and helping me to acknowledge my weaknesses and basically grow as a human being and how to become a better counselor. The course has taught me how to focus on myself and how I can improve myself to be a better human being, not just to grow but also to help others grow. And along with the course and the papers offer some really good insight into the different areas that I can actually pursue and the areas that I am interested in. Along with that, the faculty members of the course have been really supportive, and they've always focused on each individual's growth and how they can become better people and how they can become better counselors and reach out to more people. Along with the faculty and the program, my experience in general has been really pleasant. I have felt very different compared to many other institutes that I have gone to, and I am really proud to say that I am a Nirmalite.
Hello everyone, my name is Sonia Fernandez. I am a student of MA Wellness Counseling from Nirmala Institute of Education, Altinho, Panjim. This course has been a very beautiful and enriching experience for me. I have learned a lot from this course. It has helped me to discover my strengths. It has helped me to love and accept myself the way I am completely. It has helped me to explore myself, to be aware, to be mindful, to be grateful, which I was never aware of before. Overall, it's been a very beautiful and wonderful journey and almost been a year. The campus is very beautiful. The classrooms are bright and spacious, and there's a lot of greenery and plants everywhere. The facilitators are kind and caring and teach us in a very good way. Overall, this course helps us to be kind and compassionate with ourselves first, and then reach out to the world and be kind, compassionate, non judgmental to others. It has been a very exciting learning experience, and I hope it will be the same for the months to come. Thank you very much.
Hi everyone, I'm Fabina Dines, currently doing my first year Masters in Wellness Counseling. I'm here to tell you about my experience regarding this course. I had got to know about this course from one of my friend, and I found this very interesting because of as it is based on positive psychology. So honestly speaking, when I joined this course, I found this course little heavier. I thought I will not be able to manage with it. Though I had a psychology background, some things I knew and some things were new to me. But trust me, as time went on, now I have more knowledge. I was just liking this field of counseling and the psychology, but now I'm loving it because this course is designed in such a way that everything is taught to you just from the basic. So even if you don't have a psychology background, you don't have to worry about it all. Apart from that, when I joined this course, I had come with an intention, like, I want to focus on the mental health of other people so that I can help them to resolve their issues, to guide them, to manage their lives. But I never realized that that is also something that I needed to do for myself. So, after joining this course, I have discovered many things about me that I wasn't aware of, like my strengths, my weaknesses, how I respond, how I react, and what are the causes of it. So that's what I have realized and gained awareness after joining this course. Apart from this, just to give example of how this course has motivated me. Okay, so after 2 months I will be doing an internship. So I'm a person, public speaking is something that I had fear of. I had I'm saying I had because now I don't have, I feel, because I'm very excited to go and do my internship, which I thought I will never be able to, because this course has provided me or given me so much of knowledge now that I feel like I can go and give it to others, that I can teach to others, contribute to others, and use it to help others. So that's how my experience was. And that's how this course has helped me, and I'm very excited to even learn more about it. Yeah, that's it.
Good evening and a very warm welcome to all the participants for today's webinar. June is celebrated as Pride Month all around the world. Pride is an acronym for Personal Rights in Defense and Education. The organization was formed in LA, California in 1966 by Steve Ginsburg. Pride Month commemorates years of struggle for civil rights and the ongoing pursuit of equal justice under the law for the LGBTQIA+ individuals. It also celebrates their accomplishments. We, the Department of MA Wellness Counseling of Nirmala Institute of Education, look forward to today's session as a step forward in awareness and sensitization of the challenges and struggles encountered by the LGBTQ+ community. Our institution is celebrating its Diamond Jubilee year, and the theme that has been selected is Discovering the Diamond Within Every Individual. Indeed, we endeavor to celebrate the strengths and uniqueness in every individual, and our vision of higher well being and greater self awareness. On behalf of Dr. Sister Delia Antao, our principal, and our director, Dr. Sister Rita Pace, as well as the MA Wellness Department coordinator, Dr. Brian Pacheco, and all facilitators, I would like to extend a warm welcome to our resource person for today's webinar, Ms. Farheen Sha. I would now like to call upon our student, Ms. Sonia Fernandez, to introduce our resource person for today.
Good evening, everyone. It is my privilege to introduce to you Ms. Farheen Sha, a wellness counselor in private practice with 2 years of experience. After completing her master's in wellness counseling from Nirmala Institute of Education, she went on to get a certification from the American Counseling Association in LGBTQ counseling competencies, college and career readiness. Ms. Farheen Sha is proficient in LGBTQ affirmative counseling practice and has worked with a diverse pool of clients, assisting them in various issues such as stress management, identity formation, and emotion regulation, among others. She has also led many workshops, webinars, and training sessions in her career so far, and recently she launched her private teletherapy venture, Connections Counselling Services. So please help me welcome Ms. Farheen Shah. Over to you, Ms. Farheen.
Thank you so much, Sonia, for that lovely introduction and for letting everybody know who I am. So, first of all, I think without further ado, I think we could start with the thing that we have for today with our webinar. So, I will just present my screen as of now. Okay. So I hope this is visible to everybody and that I'm clearly audible. Um, can I get like a thumbs up or something like that? Talasha, maybe you could let me know.
Yes, Farheen, you're
Okay.
audible and your screen is visible.
All right. Okay. So as you all know, today we are here to talk about the topic Pride Beyond Pride Month, understanding LGBTQ plus individuals, right? So before we actually dive in, let's just take a look at what all you'll be requiring today. So first of all, please make sure that you'll have writing materials close by because we will be doing some activities that will require you to have them. Okay, so if you don't have them, please make sure that you get them as quick as possible. Also, please have a water bottle with you because we want you to be hydrated during the webinar. Also, try to get yourselves in a place where there is minimum distraction so that you all can be active parts or participants in the webinar, right? Apart from that, some things I hope, is anybody moving out to maybe get your writing materials or water bottles or anything like that? Because then we'll probably have to wait. Okay, so I'm not getting anything in the chat box or anything like that. So I'll probably just move on with the instructions. So first thing, So first thing is I will require you all to be like active participants during the webinar, because if this webinar is going to be anything meaningful to any of us, then we will require you to, share your thoughts, opinions, and insights, whatever it is, right?
Also, let's try and create a safe space, because if we are asking people to participate actively during the webinar, then we need to create an environment that is full of trust and respect. So when people are sharing and stuff like that, please make sure that you're like respect whatever opinions and all are coming up, so that people feel safe to say what they have to say. The next thing is either note down or maybe put down in the chat box whatever doubts or questions or insights that you all have, because we will be taking that up during towards the end of the webinar, so that we don't end up wasting too much time midway. All right. So now, moving on. Before we actually start talking about whatever subject and matter we have for today, I think it's very important to highlight why exactly we need to have these kind of conversations, right? So, as you can see on your screens, very recently, not too many years ago, Cornell Center for the Study of Inequality conducted a project known as the What We Know project. Now, this project was basically a literature review, which happens to be the largest known literature review on the topic that analyzed the link between discrimination against LGBTQ plus people and the impact of that discrimination on their mental and physical health, right? As a part of this literature review, over 200 studies spanning over 1,000 participants were examined, and what they found was that there is a very strong correlation between discrimination against LGBTQ plus people and risks of poor mental as well as physical health. Now, when LGBTQ plus people are subjected to discrimination, it was found that among other conditions, it increases their likelihood of conditions like depression, anxiety, suicidality, PTSD, which is post-traumatic stress disorder, substance use, and even cardiovascular disease. Now, in India, due to the stigma that is attached to this community, the research is significantly less. But whatever little research has been done on this topic shows that the statistics in India are not too different here, right? So the reason why we are doing this topic today, why we are having this conversation, is because, as this quote says, right, at the end of the day, it's just about understanding and taking care of each other as fellow human beings. Because whether you're gay or straight, whether you are trans or cisgender is basically when your gender identity and your biological sex match, okay? So whether you're any of these things, at the end of the day, it just boils down to taking care of each other as human beings and making life as comfortable as possible for each other, right? So first of all, I would like to congratulate you all for taking this initiative, for even coming for this webinar today. So pat on your back for taking this step. And with that thought in mind, let us dive into our actual stuff that we have planned for today, right? Okay. So now, before we talk about anything related to the LGBTQI plus community, it's important for us to understand what is the LGBTQI plus community. So now when we say LGBTQI plus, that is an umbrella acronym. Acronym because it is not a single term, it is a cluster of various terms, and we've taken their initials over here to form the term LGBTQI plus. So it's an umbrella acronym which refers to various gender and sexual minorities. Again, when we say umbrella, it means that we are talking about several identities, not just one. Now, what are gender and sexual minorities? Gender and sexual minorities are groups of people that do not fit within the heteronormative and binary model of society. When we say heteronormative, it basically refers to a culture in which heterosexuality is considered normal, and anything apart from that is considered to be abnormal. Binary model of society, on the other hand, refers to a model of society that prescribes that the only kind of gender that is possible is either male or female, nothing else, right?
So people that do not fall within this very limited understanding of sexuality and gender identity are the ones that come under this community of LGBTQIA+. Another thing that we need to understand is that the LGBTQIA plus community is often referred to as either the queer community and or the rainbow community. Alright, the rainbow community obviously comes from the symbol, which is the pride flag, which is a rainbow colored flag. Queer community, one thing that you need to keep in mind whenever you use this terminology is that queer is a term that is considered derogatory by a lot of LGBTQ plus people even till date. Okay, especially elder LGBTQ plus people, so people who are about 40, 50 years, still view queer as a derogatory term, an offensive term. So when you use these terms, you need to be a little bit careful about the sensitivity to it. Talking about terms and terminologies, okay, there are, as I said, there are a huge number of identities that come under the LGBTQI plus community, but obviously we do not have that kind of time to go through each one of them, and it's frankly not possible to cover in one webinar. So we will just focus on which are the main ones, the ones that actually come within the acronym itself. All right. So the first we have is L, which stands for lesbian. Lesbian basically is any woman who feels sexually or romantically attracted to only other women is referred to as a lesbian. Okay. Next we have is G, which stands for gay. Now the term gay can be used as an umbrella term for any individual that is same gender loving or homosexual, or it can be used as a specific term to refer to men who feel sexually or romantically attracted to men only. Okay. Next we have is B, which stands for bisexual or biromantic, which refers to individuals that feel sexually or romantically attracted to more than one gender, not necessarily at the same time. This is something that needs to be kept in mind. A lot of people have this notion that if someone is bisexual or biromantic, then they feel attracted to men and women at the same time. This is not necessarily true. It just means that there is a capacity for attraction towards more than one gender. Not necessary that it has to be happening at the same time. The next we have is T, which stands for transgender or transsexual. Transgender is an umbrella term which is used to describe individuals whose gender identity, which is basically what they feel about their gender in their head, okay, and the biological sex, which refers to the anatomy, the body, does not match. Okay, so when these two do not match, then we use the term transgender to refer to the individual. Transsexual, on the other hand, is an individual who has taken some amount of medical steps or procedures in order to create a match between the gender identity and their biological sex. Okay. Moving on, we have Q, which stands for queer or questioning. Queer, as we spoke earlier, is an umbrella term that is used to refer to the entire LGBTQI plus community. So it's a very general term which can refer to, so when somebody says I am queer, they could be meaning that I am gay, they could be meaning that I am transgender, it could mean anything. It's a very general term. As I said, a lot of people still find it very offensive, the term, so we need to be a little careful about using this term. Q is questioning, okay, which is basically refers to individuals who are questioning either their gender identity or their sexual orientation or both. So it's basically a term used to refer to people who are still figuring it out. Alright. I refers to intersex individuals. Now, intersex individuals are those people who are born with
any of the various combinations of sexual aspects, biological aspects, okay, which do not fit within the traditional binary model of what a male or female body is supposed to look like. Intersex is a very it's a medical thing, okay. People usually are born as intersex, okay. Now this intersex thing can manifest in terms of chromosomal combinations or differences in reproductive organs and things like that, but it's mostly medical. Next we have A, which stands for asexual or aromantic, which refers to individuals who feel very little to absolutely no sexual or romantic attraction towards another person. Alright, now for a very long time, people believed that A also refers to ally, but that is not the case anymore. The focus is on the ace, that is the asexual, and aro, that is aromantic spectrum. Alright, so that is basically about the main terminology. Next we will do a small activity, okay, in order to just get you to think and focus on stuff. Now the activity that we are about to do is basically a reflective activity called First Impressions of LGBTQ plus people. And for this activity, I'm going to need you all to take out those writing materials first. Alright. So now I will present to you a list of questions which you have to think about and write down the answers to in your writing materials. Try to be as reflective and as discreet as possible. Okay, don't have to give very elaborate answers, something brief but something meaningful. Alright, I will be reading each question once just so that just to make sure that you all understand what each question is about. And then you all will write down the answers, of course. Please understand that you all will not be forced to share anything that you all are not comfortable sharing. Okay, so when you're writing down, don't have that in mind that, okay, I'm going to have to talk about something that I don't want to, because you won't have to. Okay, so now the first question over here is, when's the first time you can remember learning that some people are lesbian, gay, bisexual or queer? So here basically you have to try and recollect when was the first time you found out that there are people who identify as lesbian, gay, bisexual or queer, and write down basically about how you found out, what was it like, just a small thing. The next is, where did most of the influence of your initial impressions or understanding of lesbian, gay, bisexual and queer people come from? This is basically asking you what was one of the most strongly influencing factors. It's the factors that influenced you the most in terms of what you understood and what impressions you had of the LGBTQ community right at the start. So these could be anything like your family, friends, media. Okay. The third question is, when's the first time you can remember learning that some people are transgender? So again, your first time finding out that some people identify as transgender. Then we have again the factors that influenced you the most in terms of your initial understanding of transgender people. And lastly, the question is, how have your impressions or understanding of LGBTQ plus people changed or evolved throughout your life? So this is basically asking you about how has your understanding changed over time. So maybe something that you believed earlier, but now you know it's not the correct belief to have, or some terminology that you weren't aware of earlier, but now you are aware of. Okay, stuff like that. So I'm going to give you like a few minutes to just note down, think properly and note down the answers to this question, and then we will maybe discuss. All right. Do any of y'all have any questions regarding the questions? Anything that y'all didn't understand or that you're not clear about? Please ask right now so that you can do the activities smoothly. Okay, so has everybody finished? Does anybody need more time? If you all have finished, then we can maybe have a small discussion about this activity. Is everybody done? Anyone still writing? You could maybe type it out in the chat box if you're still writing. Okay, so I think most people are done. So would anybody like to share what was it like to do the activity? Okay,
Hello.
yeah,
Yeah, you can hear me.
yeah.
Okay, so the first time I remember, I heard about gays and lesbians was on TV. Like I never heard anybody speak about this, or I feel people would normally avoid even talking about it. But the first time I remember was when I used to watch TV, and then I would suddenly see a scene, and I remember just shutting my eyes because I thought it was something wrong, and many times I would, if I would hear someone speak about it also, I would say things like, she, what are you talking about? Because I feel like I was surrounded by people who normally would say things like that when they either saw like two guys holding hands or two girls holding hands was never a big deal. But even on TV, they would like say it's not good to watch something like this. And over the years, like I have like realized, through many, to like even watching different documentaries or reading about the different experiences of people, that they are as they deserve all the rights and all the love that we give to everybody else who are not from this community. So, and that has like come through my experiences with friends who themselves are part of the community. So yeah, I just wanted to say that.
Right. So it's really nice to know, Karen, right, that that your understanding of this community has expanded to become more inclusive. Would anybody else like to share what it was like to do the activity and maybe stuff that they realized like this? Changes in anything that came up?
Yes, hi, Farheen. This is Jonathan here.
Yep.
I remember that way back in when we were in school, when we were young kids, this would be something that we would tease people with. Our understanding of the entire concept was so rudimentary that some of my fellow mates, whenever we would want to put a slur onto them, we would call them gay, and we would tease them about it because we really did not understand. We just thought it's like another bad word that you could call somebody. But I think over a long period of time, the understanding has changed, right? It has changed, and we understand that we really need to be more open-minded to things. And I think a lack of understanding of the whole concept really does cause a lot of issues. So this is something that I thought about when I was going through your activity, because it asks you, when's the first time you remember learning that some people are lesbian, gay, bisexual, or queer? That was, I think, way back in school, we heard of these terms of gay and lesbian and homosexual. And I think the rest followed. Yeah.
Right, right. Thank you so much for sharing,
Yeah.
Jonathan. I think
My
we
pleasure.
all, yeah, I think we can all relate to something like that, wherein we use these terms as like bad words and slurs. So yeah, it's good that the knowledge is expanding. What about the others? Anybody else would like to go for it? Share something?
Yeah, hi.
Hi.
Even I remember, right, as a child, when I used to ask my parents or my teachers, Mama, how they are like that, or teacher, how they are like that. My parents mostly used to tell that they are poor people and they get married with their own close bonds in the family, so that's why they are born like that. And I used to always be under the impression that okay, maybe that's the reason they are born like that. And another reason what the teachers used to say is that it is a very big crime against religion. They do it like not considering any religion or ethics. So that was what I was under the impression. So as I've learned about more and more about them, now my thoughts have changed over time.
Right. Great. I like to see that the thoughts are changing because yes, too many people use religion as a reasoning to, discriminate against this community. So yes, thank you for bringing that up, and thank you for being so open with your sharings. Okay, I think we can maybe move on to what we have next. Okay, so now that you all have spoken of things that you yourselves had in your mind, and maybe misconceptions that you all were nursing for so long, okay, let's try and see what is it that the LGBTQ plus community needs from us as a society, in order for them to feel safe and welcome in this world, right? So first thing we have here is respect, because even in my own practice I have noticed this a lot. Okay, too many people disrespect LGBTQ plus people, right? There is too much, as Jonathan mentioned. Okay, a lot of people use these terminologies as bad words, as slurs, right? There is so much of disrespect that is prevalent when it comes to this community, when respect is something really basic, right? And a lot of people will say that, you know, it's something that we don't understand. It's not something that I can wrap my mind around. But is it really necessary to always understand exactly what an individual's life is like in order for you to just give them basic human respect? I mean, you don't need to necessarily know what it is like to be visually impaired or what it is like to lose a limb or something, right? In order to know that you need to respect someone who might be visually impaired or might not have a limb or things like that. So how is it different when it comes to, or if you come from maybe let's say a socioeconomic status that is not, you know, per the majority, you would still expect respect. So why is it so hard when it comes to LGBTQ plus individuals, right? So respect is definitely something that they need from us. The next is acceptance. Now, when we talk about acceptance, a lot of people confuse acceptance with propagation and promotion, right? So when people talk about acceptance, when we talk about accepting LGBTQ plus identities, we don't mean promoting them or, you know, encouraging more people to be LGBTQ plus, because frankly you cannot do that. Okay, acceptance is more about treating LGBTQ plus individuals as equal. You know, give them a level playing field. Just accept them as individuals that are part of society, active members of society, that have worth, that have value, that need a place within the society that we live in, right? So that is basically what we mean by acceptance. We're not talking about encouraging more people to be like that, or, you know, or saying that, you know, we are corrupting people. No, it's not about all that. It's just about treating humans as humans, right? The next we have is awareness. We talk about awareness. This is, it comes along the lines of educating yourself. Unfortunately, even today, as we know, 21st century, and we're all progressing and things like that, but there are people till date who negate the very existence of LGBTQ plus people. Okay, people who believe that that's not even a thing, like men loving men. What the hell is that? Those are just, you know, it's just a phase, it's just hormones, it's just raging libidos. No, you need to be aware that these people exist, that they are normal. You know, maybe try and be a little bit on top of the current affairs, struggles that they are going through. So they need us to be aware about them, about their existence, about the things that, at least a few things that they go through on a daily basis, right? Because that is so important in order for us to relate to them. Because if you're going to say that they don't exist, then you cannot possibly, I mean, where do we go from there, right? If you're telling a person that you don't exist, I mean, there's no way forward. So you need to be aware about them, about their identities, about the things that they go through, at least some of it. And that is what they need from us as a community. Next we have is real effort. Okay, now the reason why I have literally specified the real effort, because there are far too many people who just come alive during Pride Month. A lot of brands and all, you know, who post stuff on Instagram and all that, and then it's forgotten. That is not what this community needs. This community needs real, genuine effort on a daily basis to understand them, to include them, okay, to learn about them. So the efforts that come from our side, whether it is in terms of using inclusive language, whether it is in terms of understanding that they are normal, whether it is in terms of understanding that identifying as LGBTQ plus is not a sickness or any of that, okay, the effort needs to be genuine. It needs to be real. Next we have is healthy representation. Again, emphasis on healthy. Because I mean, if any of us say that we have never ever watched a movie or a show where there is a gay best friend or a very effeminate man who's used, you know, just for laughs, just as comic relief, as a filler, then I think somewhere we would be lying if we said that we never saw that kind of representation, right? That kind of representation is unhealthy. because LGBTQ plus people are not just jokes. It's not funny to be LGBTQ plus identified. And not just in media, to be very frank, we need LGBTQ plus representation in several spheres, actually as many spheres as possible. Right? So when you have, say for example, student bodies, you have corporate boards, you have teaching panels, you have community centers. Okay, having LGBTQ plus people on those boards, on those panels, in those committees, okay, is necessary, because those kind of individuals will be in a better position to tell you what is it that this community needs, because that is what they live through on a daily basis. So we need healthy representation in order to foster a society where these people can live and breathe easily. Okay, where they don't have to constantly be scared of a chip on, like, live with a chip on their back. And last but not least, overall inclusivity. So this is just including them in every aspect, in every sector, as a lot as many, even you all have pointed out, in schools, in religious places, in so many spheres of life. Okay, a lot of people tend to sideline LGBTQ plus people. Oh, this is a special population, this conversation is not about them. That is not the case, because as I said earlier, LGBTQ plus people are just human. So any conversation that has anything to do with humans has to do with LGBTQ plus people. So if you are saying that any particular committee or any particular agenda or anything is not pertaining to them and pertains to other, maybe like humans in general, people in general, human rights or civil rights or things like that, then that is not inclusive. So we need overall inclusivity for them, and they need that from us, so that they have, as I said earlier, a level playing field. So now that we know of at least some of the basic needs that the LGBTQ plus community has, okay, the things that they need from us as a society, the question that comes up is what can we do to meet these needs, right? How can we do something about it? So the first thing is use open language. Now, when we talk about open language, we are talking about language that that creates space for various identities. For example, something very simple, okay, which I'm sure, I myself have been guilty of doing this in the past, okay. When we look at someone, okay, this is a girl, it's very common for us to ask, oh, do you have a boyfriend? Are you seeing someone? Like, have you found the Mr. Right? Whatever, right? A lot of us do that. No, that's not open. That's not inclusive, because what if that girl is a lesbian, if she's same gender loving? Then what? Then where does that boyfriend go? And how does she tell you? Even if she were in a relationship, how would she ever tell you? So use open language. Like, for example, maybe if you're asking someone if they're in a relationship, ask them, are you in a relationship or are you seeing someone? Things like that. Even in terms of if you all ever have, let's say, if you all have your own practice or your own companies or whatever, in your intake forms, okay, just to get demographic details. How many forms do you come across on a daily basis that just say male, female for gender, or relationship status, single, married, divorced? That's not open, because a lot of LGBTQ plus identities get completely thrown out of the window when the language is like that. So use open language, recognize your biases and recognize our biases and work on them. Now here, this is very essential, because if any of us say that we have absolutely no biases towards the LGBTQ plus community, then we are missing out somewhere. Because the society that we live in, as I mentioned earlier, is heteronormative and binary in nature. It is, and it has been for decades, for centuries. Okay? So, given the parents that we have, the society that we live, the schools we have studied in, biases will be there. What is important is to recognize them and then to do something about it, to work on them. All right. For example, a lot of people believe that, let's say LGBTQ plus identities are perverted identities, or these are people who are sick. If you have these kind of biases, you need to work on them. Even as Jonathan mentioned, you use these identities as slurs. I mean, how many of us are guilty of looking at a guy who's very effeminate and be like, oh, he's such a lady? Or look at a girl maybe who's a little bit masculine in her ways and be like, oh, she's definitely a lesbian. She swings the other way. A lot of us do that. So we need to recognize those kind of biases and work on them, work to eradicate them, to eliminate them. We need to educate ourselves again, as I said earlier, educate yourselves about what are LGBTQ plus identities like, what are the current issues, what are the struggles that they're facing, what are the burning topics for this community. So educate yourself. Okay, even in terms of pronouns, a lot of us will be knowing that pronouns is something that has come up recently. Okay, until maybe 10 years ago, we didn't have this entire debate about okay, what are your pronouns, but now we have that. So educate yourself, okay, about these things. The next thing is clarify meanings when necessary. Now, as I said, okay, pronouns are coming up, neopronouns are coming up. You have the ace, aero spectrum coming into the spotlight. Okay, as these things happen, it is very likely that there will be some words that we don't understand, or some words that we are not aware are not in use anymore. Okay, it happens. It happens because we cannot know everything. But what is important is that we clarify those meanings. So if somebody says, like say for example, if someone tells you, if a girl comes up to you and says, this girl, she's constantly calling me butch and all that, I don't like it, and you don't know what butch means, don't pretend to just go along and be like, oh yeah, it must be really bad. Clarify respectfully. I'm sorry, but I'm not really sure what butch means, and so I can't really relate to what is it that you're feeling right now. Respectfully clarify the meaning. Refrain from labeling. As I said earlier, if you notice someone maybe behaving a certain way or dressing a certain way, how it's like, I mean, it's like at the snap of the fingers you will have a label coming up. Oh, he's such a lady, or she's such a man, oh my god, this person is definitely not straight, or you, I mean, even like just the other day I was having this conversation with a person, and this person was referring to a guy who was a little too scared in emotionally charged situations, and he was like, oh, he's such a lady, he should put bangles. That's a label right there. That's like a whole bias just laid out straight right there. Okay, so we need to refrain from these kind of things because it very negatively impacts the LGBTQ plus community and the notion that prevails about them. Next, we have respect the privacy of LGBTQ plus individuals. Do not out them. Now, when it comes to first of all, what is outing? Outing is basically telling somebody, revealing an LGBTQ plus individual's identity without their consent is called outing the person. All right. Now, a lot of times, okay, of course, there are too many people who do this with ill intentions, with ulterior motives, but there are a lot of people also who out individuals with good intentions. Okay, I have come across a lot of people who will be like, not necessarily just my clients or anything, because I don't share their information just randomly like that, but people that I have come across in my life who will be like, oh, it was so wrong, she had to hide her identity and this thing, so I went and spoke to auntie and I told her, auntie, see, your daughter is like this, but she deserves your love and respect. Okay, she's still the same person. I get it, the intention is very noble, but this is not the right way to function. Because whether an LGBTQ plus individual wants to come out or not is their choice. And when you out them just like that, you put them at a risk of so many dangerous situations. Outing an individual can result in them being turned out of house onto the streets, out of their homes onto the streets. Okay, it can put them in a very tight spot in terms of finances. It leads to increased risks of bullying as well as other things such as assault and abuse of every kind, mental, physical, emotional, sexual. Okay, not to mention the self related factors that take a hit when an individual is outed. So, factors like self esteem, factors like self worth, confidence, okay, shame, increased shame, okay, because a person is not yet ready. Sometimes a person is still reconciling, still trying to understand what it is, how, what is their identity, how to form it, how to live in this world. And if you go and out them, then it's not going to be very pleasant for them. So don't do it. Give importance to the person's words. Now, what this basically means is pay attention to what the individual tells you. Okay, not to maybe say how they dress or how they look or what their voice is like, because a lot of times our assessment of people comes from these very biases and prejudices, right? You need to pay attention to the person's words. I remember once, even with my own situation, like when I was studying, there was this girl who was very masculine in her way of carrying herself, and everybody, most people, they were like, she's a lesbian, she is definitely into women. And then when they came to know that she had a boyfriend, it was like, array, what the hell just happened? Maybe she's just, saving face, trying to pretend that she is straight. This is a narrative that they have built up in their heads. They don't even know what her story is. They never bothered to ask. So don't do this. Give importance to what the person tells you about themselves, not what you have in your head. And call out offensive jokes. If you partake in a joke wherein someone is calling a guy a lady or calling a woman manly or whatever, simply because of the way they carry themselves, or when people refer to cowardice, they'll be like, oh, this person is such a woman. Okay, if people are making these kind of offensive jokes, okay, in Hindi also we have all these things, right? Chakko wali harkatein, things like that. If you partake in these kind of offensive jokes, you are as much in the wrong as the person who is actually cracking that kind of a joke. So call it out. Okay, question the logic. Ask, okay, where does this come from? Okay, so these are some few ways in which we can, try and make the world a better place for LGBTQ plus people and make it safe for them to live and for them to thrive. Now, this is basically my insights and learnings. As Sonia also said, I have worked a lot with LGBTQ plus clients, and yeah. So basically what I have learned is, first of all, the know-it-all will mess it all. Now, apart from being an LGBTQ plus affirmative mental health practitioner, I also grew up having a lot of friends who were LGBTQ plus people. I was always watching, consuming media that was, had LGBTQ plus themes and things like that. So even going into my own practice, to be very honest, I had this notion that, okay, you know what? I know almost all that there is to know about the community. And if you go like that, trust me, I learned this the hard way. You don't have to, because I'm telling it to you right now. If you think like that, you're going to mess up. Because as we just discussed, the LGBTQ plus community is constantly evolving. New terminologies, old terminologies getting kicked out, new spectrums getting identified, okay, new slurs coming up, okay. The political climate around LGBTQ plus issues is constantly changing. Laws are changing pertaining to them. religious stance comes into play as well. So if you go with this idea that you know everything, you're going to mess up, because there will come a time when you will come across a term or a fact that you didn't know exists. And then you will find yourself in a very difficult spot. So the thing over here, the thing to do is to always be open, okay, to the idea that, okay, there are things that I may not know. But even if there are those things, I'm willing to learn. I'm open to knowing, to finding out. All right. So do not go in like a know-it-all. The next thing is LGBTQ plus people can smell an imposter from a mile. Now, when I say imposter here, I mean someone who is fake, someone who is phony. This is a fact. Okay, LGBTQ plus people deal with so much stigma, so much prejudice, so much rubbish. Okay, they deal with real rubbish on a daily basis. Okay, they get so good at sniffing out lies, and basically people who are just pretending to be on their side, to accept them, to acknowledge them. So as I said earlier, also there are brands and all also who will post about stuff just during Pride Month, or people will be like, oh, you know what, I'm totally cool with men being with men, women with women, people identifying with different genders, and are totally cool. If you are not someone like that in reality, and you're just trying to save face, LGBTQ plus people will sniff that out. And a lot of times, you will either end up jeopardizing the relationship between you and that individual all the more. And sometimes you can find yourself in very odd places, because LGBTQ plus people also will sometimes call you out that, okay, look, I know that you are not in for us, so please, stop with the pretense. So don't do that. If you have some kind of biases and you recognize it, work on it. But don't pretend to not have any or to be past them already when you're not. Okay? The next thing is those biases will bubble up when you least expect them. So if you feel that, okay, I need to interact with an LGBTQ plus person, or I need to maybe say be a part of this kind of a webinar, or maybe a program or whatever, and I'll just slide my biases under the carpet, because why do I need to deal with them? They will bubble up when you least expect them. Okay, so it will maybe show up in your language, or you'll say something at an odd moment, or maybe you'll, something in your non-verbal cues, like your expressions when someone says something or dresses a certain way, will give you away. And that will be a very ugly position to be in. So work on the biases. Again, that's like the base of it. Work on the biases. Next we have is what the individual tells you about themselves is greater than the narrative that you build about them. Always, always. Focus on what the individual tells you about themselves, as I just told you. Okay. It has happened to me also many a times, wherein I have had calls from people who sound like they have masculine voices, and they tell me that, okay, I'm a woman, please refer to me as she, her, hers. I have been a woman all my life. They're talking about their gender identity and how they perceive themselves. Okay. I myself have had to work a lot on this bias, because our society tells us to focus on clothes and voice texture and beard and muscles and heels and things like that. Okay, so when someone with a masculine voice tells you I'm a woman, it becomes very hard to focus on that I'm a woman, as opposed to focusing on that texture of that voice. But we need to do it. We need to consciously remind ourselves, okay, not that voice. Listen, she's telling you that she is a woman. So she is a woman, right? So we need to make these changes. So focus on what the individual tells you, not that narrative that you build about the person. The next thing we have is LGBTQ plus people are harmless. Now this is something I cannot stress enough, okay, because LGBTQ plus people really in general are harmless. Okay, now a lot of people, when the reason why I put this point here is because a lot of people believe that LGBTQ plus people are criminals, are perverted, they are pedophiles, they are they are sex offenders. And now I'm not denying that some LGBTQ plus people even are, but are heterosexual people not? Are cisgender people, that is biological men who identify as men and biological women who identify as women, are they not rapists and sex offenders and pedophiles and robbers and things like that? They are, right? But do you stop talking to all heterosexual cisgender people altogether because there are some of them who are rapists and things like that? No, you don't. At least I've never come across any individual who does that for straight cisgender people. So why do it for LGBTQ plus people? Why generalize like that? That okay, if there is one sex offender among you all, then you're all sex offenders. Another thing is too many people, even in today's day and age, believe that it is a choice to be LGBTQ plus people. Okay, if they put in real effort, they could really change. Yeah, like just focus on the opposite sex. Watch more, I don't know, opposite. I have known people who have said if this person just watches, straight porn, it will do the deal. Like seriously, the level of ignorance that comes from that kind of thought process is frustrating, to be honest, given the stage that we are in of awareness and things like that. Because as this quote says here, right, believe me, being gay is not a choice. No one would choose to make life harder than it has to be. Because seriously, I mean, life, pardon my language here, but doesn't life throw enough shit at us already? You really think somebody would choose to have an identity that invites discrimination, that invites people treating them as an outcast? And also, besides, if an LGBTQ plus person chooses to be that way, then when would straight and cisgender people choose to be straight and cisgender? Like, can you put a point on that? Can you like think, oh, okay, this is when I decided that I'm going to be straight no matter what happens in my life. Gonna do it. Doesn't happen, right? So we need to remember this as much as possible, that LGBTQ plus people are totally harmless. So if you're going to, this is another bias also that comes up, if you're going to constantly believe that, they are harmful people, or, they'll turn my sexuality into something else, they'll make me like them or whatever, it's going to show up in your behavior, okay? And it's not going to be very pretty. So again, something that needs to be dealt with. And yeah, I think that is about it for today. Yes, so we can discuss whatever doubts or questions you all have, but before that, I'll just share my contact details with you guys. Now, one thing about myself that I'd like to clarify here, okay, is that I am an LGBTQ plus affirmative professional, but I also deal with heterosexual cisgender individuals. Okay, a lot of people think I only deal with LGBTQ plus people. Not the case. So if you or a loved one would like to book a counseling session, you can get in touch with me on WhatsApp. This is my number. Please text instead of calling, because if I'm caught up with something, then I might not be able to receive your call. If I have a text, I have something to get back to. On Instagram, you can follow my recently launched teletherapy page, Connections Counselling Services, or you can drop an email on farheencounselor26@gmail.com. All right. So that is about it. Anybody needs me to stick onto the slide, or we could maybe pick up the... Are there any questions in the chat box just now?
Okay, so I think any of y'all that have wanted the contact information should have probably been able to note it down by now. I'm just going to come back. Stop
Farheen, you have a question.
Yes.
Can you explain the difference between transgender and transsexual again?
All right. I'm just going to stop presenting. Give me a moment and I will answer that question. Okay. So it was the difference between transgender and transsexual, right? That's what was asked.
Yes.
Okay. So transgender is an umbrella term which is used to describe basically any person whose gender identity, that is how their perception of their gender, okay, um, if their gender identity and the biological sex does not match, then we use the term transgender, which is an umbrella term to refer to all such individuals. Okay. Whereas transsexual refers specifically to individuals who have gone through some amount of some medical procedures to basically align their gender identity, which is what is in the head, okay, with their biological sex. So basically people who may have done a full-on sex reassignment surgery or people who might be taking hormone treatment and all usually come under transsexual. It's a very specific term. Transgender, again, as I said earlier, it is people whose gender identity does not match with their biological sex. Okay, when we talk about biological sex, it's the sex assigned at birth, which is basically your body. So what your genitals and all tell you about who you are, that is your biological sex. Okay, gender identity, your perception of your gender, how you view yourself in terms of gender. Clear?
Farheen, you have another question. So Hindola is asking you if she could hear from you on the next possible legal rights of LGBTQIA+.
Okay, so when it comes to the legal rights of LGBTQI+, actually, there is a lot of stuff that is constantly changing, constantly evolving. We know just a few years ago, Section 377, which was basically a section that criminalized LGBTQ+ relationships and termed them as unnatural, got scrapped. Okay, as of now, we do not really have marriage equality for LGBTQ plus people, but as of now, civil partnerships are getting more recognized, even legally. They recognize that it happens, and I don't think that there is any provision, let's say, in terms of how you have, right, finances and kids and things like that. As of now, LGBTQ plus people also don't have legal rights for adoption. Okay. So transgender, which is legally termed as the third gender, has recognition, supposed to have at least, okay, because I'm saying supposed to because I've come across too many bank forms that have gender male and female only. So yeah, they are supposed to be recognized too. All right, so that's about what I know as of now with regards to LGBTQ plus legal rights. Okay. And in terms of, one minute. In terms of assault and stuff, also LGBTQ plus assault is, it's recognized as assault. There was a time when it was not recognized. Okay, it was because it was just considered unnatural stuff that doesn't even happen. But as of now, I think it is being taken into consideration. So yes, that's about it. Yeah.
Thank you, Farheen. You have another question. So Deborah is asking you, could you please explain what is gender fluid and about pronouns also, they, them? How could you use them in a sentence?
Okay. Okay, so gender fluid is basically an individual. It's basically gender that is not very fixed.
In terms of gender fluidity is more in terms of people who tend to sort of, what's the word? It's relatively more transient. Okay, it's not someone. It's basic. When someone says I'm gender fluid, it is a person who like let's say for example something very basic is dressing. Okay, so this person could one day maybe dress in an extremely masculine, typical masculine manner. One day they could dress in a typical feminine manner. All right, so it is in terms of perception. They don't really put the label that okay, I am masculine, I'm feminine, okay, or I'm male, female. No, it's more. It's like it's an identity which is kind of on the spectrum. Okay, so it's more transient, more flowy. That's why fluid. All right. In terms of, did you get an understanding of gender fluidity? It's a relatively Debra, right? Did you understand the gender fluid part? All right. In terms of pronouns, they them is basically again it comes for usually transgender individuals who do not want to conform to the binary script, even in terms of language. So in language we usually have he, him, his. They, them is more general. So people who are, someone's asked you a question about non-binary and all. So basically gender fluid, non-binary people and all, they use they, them. How can you use it in a sentence? Very similar actually. I mean, in English we actually constantly use they, them pronouns even for single individuals. For example, if you notice someone in your class has left their wallet, okay, in the classroom, you don't know whose wallet it is, you don't really, maybe it's a new wallet and you don't know who it belongs to, you will say, look, someone has left their wallet on the table, right? That is you using they, them pronoun. Or if let's say you're referring to a single person who has told you that these are my pronouns, they, them. So whenever you refer to them, wherever you would use he or she, to replace it with they and them and theirs. So let's say they have left their notebook in so and so place, or today this person is supposed to be presenting, they have got this topic. All right, this is how you basically use it in a sentence. Make sense, Deborah? What if the individual has, I'm not sure I got the question.
Deborah, if you're comfortable, you could also maybe use the voice function so that Farheen can clear out any doubts if you have.
Okay, what if the individual has not spoken about their pronouns? So basically, if you want to know an individual's pronouns, it's always respectful to offer up your own pronouns and then ask for theirs. Okay, it is considered relatively offensive to just go straight up to a person and be like, hey, what are your pronouns, without offering yours up. Because when you do that, you are basically, what you are doing is you are communicating a bias that okay, I have looked at you and something about you tells me that you might be trans, so let me just ask you what your pronouns are. Okay, when you offer up your own pronouns, it is, as I said, you're putting up a level playing field. Like, okay, these are my pronouns, I'm offering you mine so that you have clarity in terms of how to refer to me. And now I'd like to have that kind of same clarity when it comes to you. So could you please share your pronouns with me so that I can refer to you the way you want to be referred? That is how you usually handle if the person has not spoken about their pronouns. Otherwise, if you don't have the opportunity to ask the pronouns, stick to the name. That should work. Okay, great. I think there is another question here, right? Difference between gender fluid and non-binary.
Non-binary, again, umbrella term, okay, for basically people that do not fit within the binary script. Gender fluid are individuals who have, as I said, the idea of gender is relatively more transient, more fluid, as the term itself states, okay. Non-binary individuals are individuals that just do not conform to being binary. So non-binary could be anything. They could be individuals, maybe one thing, who are still figuring out what gender identity suits them the most, like which it is that they identify with the most. Non-binary could also mean people who consider themselves to be a blend of both male as well as female genders. They could be individuals who view themselves completely beyond, like, I'm neither male, I'm neither female, I'm just human, I'm just me. Okay, these all identities will come under non-binary. So when someone says that I'm non-binary, it means that they could be basically any of these things, which obviously is much deeper. So usually it's like, I'm non-binary. You get that I don't fit in the binary script, right? That is non-binary. Does an intersex does an intersex person come under the non-binary term too? Not necessarily. This would completely depend on the intersex person itself. Okay, so if the intersex person, because intersex, as I said, is a medical thing. It's about how they were born or how their body is in terms of the sex characteristics. Non-binary, on the other hand, is a gender identity which will refer to the way the individual perceives their gender. All right. So an intersex person could either identify as male, as female, as transgender, as non-binary, as gender fluid. It completely depends on the individual itself. There's no way of knowing it. Can you tell us about drag culture? Yes, drag culture is basically, it's more a form of, it's usually used as a form of art, but it is basically what in earlier times we would call cross-dressing, okay, which is again offensive term, okay, as of now. But it's basically individuals who have maybe one kind of biological sex, okay, the biological sex is one thing, and they dress usually as another gender. Usually, when it comes to drag culture, the portrayal of the other gender, the gender identity, is relatively loud. It is meant to make a statement. So if you watch, like, because you've said drag culture, assuming you might know something about RuPaul's Drag Race and things like that. Okay, so if you watch, even if you were to Google, okay, drag culture, drag costumes, or drag anything on Google, you will see that the costumes, the outfits, the makeup, the hair is very elaborate because it's supposed to sort of create that impact, right? So that is basically drag culture in a gist, okay? And then of course you would have like skates, or because you have these things happening, as I said, used as a form of art. So you maybe have skates, you have songs, you have portrayals, you have stand-up comedy that is done in drag. So drag is basically the attire. Does that make sense? Why is the drag culture not emphasized more in the community? It's not that the drag culture is not emphasized a lot in the community, to be very frank. It is emphasized. It is just, I think it is more of in a way, culture thing, okay, where in India we don't have too much of drag happening, but abroad in places like America and all, there is a lot of
drag culture. It's quite prevalent in that sense. It is not more emphasized, I think, in this in in our sphere and even in the community. If you're saying that, like, like maybe it should be more emphasized. Okay, it is as much as it is, I think, because there is a lot of stigma attached to it. As I said, people still view drag as cross dressing and things like that. Okay, so I think a huge portion of the LGBTQ plus community tends to focus, as we said, acceptance and all is lacking a lot. So some people tend to keep away from this because it is a very out and proud kind of a thing. So let's say, for example, if you're somebody who's still questioning or you're somebody who's still closeted, okay, you probably tend to stay away from drag because you don't want to make such a strong statement about your identity. That's probably one of the main reasons why it's not emphasized as much as maybe anyone would like it to be. Farheen, do you think we have time for one last question before we wind up? Uh, yeah, yeah, I could take one. Is there another question? It doesn't seem like we do. So before I call upon Karen to give the formal vote of thanks, I would like to thank our audience for being such a lovely audience, being so interactive and participating so well and maintaining, the decorum of the webinar. We are really, really, really happy with your participation today. And thank you, Farheen, for, answering all their questions and being we have, before we end, I think we have one final question by Hindola. Any kind of existential issues they face or dealt with, even for their different gender identity and sexual orientation? Too many, actually, I would say, because the LGBTQ plus community, as we said, we live in a very heteronormative, a very binary, very discriminatory world. So individuals that identify as LGBTQIA plus tend to have a lot of existential issues in terms of, am I worthy of living? Is it worth it to live at this point when so many people are against me, when my mere identity is a hassle for people? Okay, does it make any sense for me to exist? Okay, what is my purpose in life if I have to just fight for basic, like my name or like my pronouns and things like that? A lot of LGBTQ plus people actually get, even after a point, tired, of just the struggle. So yes, existential issues are most certainly there, which is again where we as a society can help. Okay, of course, little by little, small mindset changes pile up to become um, a ripple effect, a huge thing. So, but yes, existential issues are there. Not because of the gender identity and sexual orientation itself. Okay, let me clarify that, because people believe that because they have the gender identity or sexual orientation which is not heteronormative or which is non-binary, that is the reason why they have the existential issues. No, they have the existential issues because of the backlash or the flack that they receive from the society, which makes them wonder about their place and their importance. So yeah, does that answer your question, Hindola? Okay. All right. I think I can now call Karen upon to propose the vote of thanks. And to our dear audience, I'm going to be leaving a link for the feedback form in the comments. Make sure that you fill it out, because only after you fill that, you are going to get your certification of participation in the webinar. So make sure that you fill out the feedback form if you want your participation certificate. So over to you, Karen.
I would like to thank our resource person, Ms. Farheen Sha, for today's session. I would like to express our deep gratitude to you for the valuable insights and the experiences that I'm certain our audience has definitely taken, and you've also shed light on the challenges and the hardships that the LGBT plus community has been encountering so far. So I'm sure that today's audience the inspiration and to reach out to everybody who is going through this with greater empathy and sensitivity. So, no event is possible without the support and guidance of our principal, Dr. Sister Delia Antang, then our director, Dr. Sister Rita Pais, our course coordinator, Dr. Brian Pacheco, and our event coordinator, Miss Talasha Savan. So, and on behalf of the Wellness Department, I would like to thank all the participants who participated and attended the webinar today. And the Department of ME Wellness Counseling will continue to organize and prepare such webinars on occasion of the Golden Jubilee, sorry, Diamond Jubilee celebration. And we would also be delighted with your presence and participation in our future events as well. So, have a wonderful evening. Thank you.
I think with that, we come to an end to today's webinar. Thank you, Farheen, for sharing your time and your information and all your knowledge with us. Farheen is an alumni of the MA Wellness Department, and we are so happy and proud of all the work that you're doing in the field, Farheen. So, all the very best, and we are immensely proud of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Talasha, and it was such a pleasure to be a part of this. And I'm so grateful to all the participants for joining in. And as I said earlier, for taking this initiative to expand your knowledge and your understanding of the community. So, thank you so much, and I hope you all have a lovely night ahead.
Thank you, Farheen. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone. Bye. Take care.
Thank you. Good night.